I think people forget that between the hours of 3 and 6, the world around Los Angeles pretty much clears out and you have the space all to yourself. The possibilities are limitless of where you can go and what you can shoot, and the hustle and bustle of the city calms down to very slow pace. Certain moods start to develop and you start to see and recognize certain patterns of the way the light falls across the city at different times of the year. I think a lot of people miss it, forget about it, don't really care. But for me, it's one of the most amazing times to be out in the city and to be alone. It's just time for me to be in my own headspace. I think that there's a light that exists in between moments that we're unable to capture realistically with film. That is really one of the things that made me gravitate towards painting at the beginning. That and an obsession with Jackson Pollock and his action painting. I think it was the fluidity of his movements. He was never one to accept the norm and always felt that by pushing the limits, to me, it expressed his true inner feelings with his surroundings. I think we all kind of struggle with processes and blocks that we get in our work. And I also began to feel like I was getting stuck within my own color palette and was looking for a way to break it free. Photography at that point had afforded me the ability to look at the world a little differently. Definitely driving up into the high Sierras, seeing the way that the light came over the eastern ridge and saturated the landscape at that moment was a bit of an epiphany. No two sunrises are ever the same, so no two landscapes are ever going to be the same. Discovering on that drive I could use the world around me as a completely new palette to paint abstractly with was probably the most cathartic and wonderful moment for me. And then I discovered Polaroid through an old one-step camera that we had, and through expired emulsions. It opened up a world even more. At that point, I kind of stepped back from painting and then began to focus more on the photography and just kind of left painting altogether. My favorite camera still to this day is my Hasselblad. It has light leaks, the shutters are slow and sticking, but I have no intention of fixing it because I developed a style on that camera because of the subtle nuances of the thing not working correctly that make me just kind of stare at it on a shelf longingly. You know, I love that camera. To me, one of the things that I embrace most about cameras is just the quirkiness of them. I think it's those quirks that ultimately helped me develop my style, because I never really concerned myself with like, oh, how's the glass? Is it pristine? Are the mechanics working well? And I think that through those older cameras, it makes you love photography even more. When I shoot really early in the morning, kind of when it's still dark outside, that 800T has the ability to capture the blue spectrum that I'm looking for. It also, with the halation layer, you kind of get these reds that poke out on lights on the street. The first roll of it that I shot downtown, I remember looking at it after developing it and thinking that it was like 12 shots of a movie reel versus 12 photographs. I think that through some expired stocks, you can get close to mirroring, but the tonality and the saturation on contemporary films, it's all pretty similar to one another. I mean, there's subtle differences, but that's one of the things I appreciate of CineStill, is that ability. A lot of photographers set out to catch the most accurate portrayal of the moment that they're in, through lens, through camera, light settings. To me, I think it has a tendency to limit us on how we perceive things around us. I'm not bored by reality per se. I'm just not as concerned about capturing something that anybody themselves can see on a day-to-day basis. I guess maybe it's a bit of escapism to try and create something that's a little ethereal in a way. I have always tried to deconstruct a moment in a way that is open to interpretation, that allows the viewer to see the world in a different perspective. I just wanted to create moments that, to me, are missed by so many people, and I think that they would appreciate the beauty that we have in the world that is often forgotten in the hustle and bustle of day-to-day. I'm Ben Parks. I'm an abstract landscape photographer based in Los Angeles, California.